The clock read 10:30 p.m. when Victor returned to his Alexandria mansion, impeccably dressed in a tailored navy suit that accentuated his rigid posture. The humid evening air clung to his coat as he entered the grand foyer, exuding an almost tangible air of superiority. Ophelia sat in the living room, bathed in the warm glow of a golden lamp. Family photos and mementos lined the walls, but her attention was fixed on an old photo album in her lap. Her fingers traced the faded smiles of happier times. Even before he spoke, she knew something was irreparably wrong. Victor had grown distant over the past months. Late nights at the office, endless unexplained meetings, hollow excuses, and sidelong glances that avoided her eyes. The man who had once promised her forever was no longer the same. "You're late, Victor," Ophelia said, her voice calm, though her heart hammered. She lingered on the photos, searching for comfort, some proof that her world hadn't completely shifted. Victor didn't answer. He tossed his leather briefcase onto the sofa and loosened his silk tie with a flick that dripped disdain. "I'm tired, Ophelia. I don't have patience for reproaches tonight," he said, his tone more warning than apology, a line drawn between them. Ophelia didn't flinch. "It's not just tonight, Victor. It's been months. You barely look at me. You avoid sitting at the dinner table with me. What's going on? Who is she?" Her words hit like a punch. Victor's confident posture faltered for a fraction of a second. His eyes dropped to the polished hardwood floor before masking his hesitation with a cold, superior smile. "You finally noticed." "I didn't think this day would ever come," he said, sneering. "Yes, Ophelia. There's someone else. Honestly, I don't know why I waited this long. It's unfair to keep pretending something that died years ago." Ophelia froze. His words cut through her like glass. "You're replacing me? After everything we built together? After everything I sacrificed for us?" Victor's voice was ruthless, thick with self-importance. "Ophelia, I built this house, this lifestyle, my success. None of it exists without me. You were by my side, yes, but you didn't contribute. You were just baggage." Tears blurred her vision. "I was there every step of the way. When you were afraid of failing, I believed in you. When you thought of giving up, I encouraged you. And now you say I contributed nothing." "Only if by contribution you mean money," he snapped, irritation curling into venom. "Don't make this harder than it is. I've made my choice. I'm leaving. Madeline and I have plans. You'll manage. You always did." Ophelia's voice was soft, almost a whisper, but carried a steel she hadn't realized she possessed. "You think you're winning, Victor. But life has a way of turning. Today it's me humiliated, tomorrow it could be you." He paused, betraying nothing, and then walked out, leaving the door swinging gently behind him. Ophelia sat motionless, a statue of shock and heartbreak, yet somewhere inside a spark flickered. This wasn't the end, not for her. Victor drove away, smug satisfaction on his face, convinced he had won his freedom. He didn't realize that this decision would lay the groundwork for his own downfall. Days passed. Ophelia refused to retreat into shadows. She reached out to Abigail, an old friend who had always believed in her potential, even when Ophelia had doubted it herself. In a small cafe tucked into Old Town Alexandria, the air heavy with the scent of roasted coffee and fresh pastries, Ophelia recounted the betrayal, her voice trembling. "I was discarded, Abigail. Like I didn't matter, invisible," she admitted, tears brimming. Abigail grasped her hand firmly, eyes shining with unwavering resolve. "He may have destroyed the life you knew, Ophelia, but that doesn't define you. You're capable of anything. If Victor thinks you can't rise, prove him wrong. Show him who you really are." Those words echoed in Ophelia's mind. She sought classes, small projects, anything to keep moving forward. One afternoon, a brightly colored flyer on a community board caught her eye: free entrepreneurship workshops for women. Curious, she attended and found herself in a sunlit, intimate space filled with women whose struggles mirrored her own. It was there she met Liam, a successful entrepreneur dedicated to helping women reclaim their careers. From their first conversation, he sensed her determination. "You have a different energy," he said after class, his gaze sharp and insightful. "Most people are just curious. You seem ready to do whatever it takes to change your life." Ophelia swallowed, uncertainty mingling with hope. I lost everything. My husband discarded me, but maybe there's still something in me worth rebuilding. Liam's smile was quiet, encouraging. If you're willing to work hard, you'll discover more in yourself than you imagined. Let's start where you are and build something amazing. Months passed. Ophelia immersed herself in business, marketing, and design courses, filling the notebook Liam gave her with sketches, strategies, and dreams. One afternoon, he asked the question that would change everything. What do you really want? What would make you feel fulfilled again? She paused, eyes tracing the horizon beyond the workshop window. I want to create something of my own. Something that proves, to me, and to everyone who doubted me, that I'm capable of more than they think. Liam's eyes sparkled. Then let's make it happen. With his guidance, Ophelia launched a small Alexandria shop specializing in sustainable goods. The store became more than a business. It became a symbol of resilience. The woman once discarded now radiated strength, courage, and determination, inspiring everyone who crossed her path. At the grand opening, Liam raised his glass. Today we celebrate not just a new shop, but a new story. Ophelia, you proved that the past doesn't define us. Our choices do. Ophelia scanned the room. Friends, clients, supporters, and felt the weight of her past pain transform into fuel for the future. Smiling, she said, "Thank you for believing in me and for teaching me to believe in myself." That night, for the first time in years, Ophelia felt true peace. Her future finally was hers. Weeks later, in the opulent lobby of a luxury Alexandria hotel, glittering under crystal chandeliers, Victor strode in with his usual arrogance, flanked by two assistants. His eyes landed on Ophelia near the hotel restaurant, calmly reviewing notes with an employee. She was unmistakably the same woman, but transformed. Confident, serene, radiating quiet strength he had never noticed. "Ophelia," he said, his voice tight, forced to mask the surprise he couldn't hide. "What are you doing here?" "I'm just taking care of my responsibilities," she replied evenly, her tone deliberate and controlled. Victor laughed, sharp and mocking, loud enough to draw attention. "Responsibilities? Let me guess, you got a job here, maybe head of housekeeping? I always said you were good at organizing things." Ophelia met his gaze without flinching. "I have responsibilities here," she said calmly, "but not the ones you think." Victor leaned forward, arms crossed, cynicism in every line of his face. "Really, Ophelia? You think climbing a few steps at a hotel puts you above me? Look at you, serving coffee, changing sheets, while I'm closing multi-million-dollar deals. You always aim too low, and apparently that hasn't changed." Nearby guests glanced over, drawn by his haughty tone. Ophelia remained composed, her calm a stark contrast to his bluster. "Tell me," Victor continued, waving a hand as if dismissing the room, "what have you really achieved here? A small promotion? A uniform slightly different from the rest of the staff? I hope you're not still serving executives like me. That would be humiliating, even for you." He laughed, hollow and venomous. Ophelia's serene smile never wavered. Inside, she felt the warmth of vindication. She had rebuilt herself, brick by brick, stronger than he could imagine. Before Victor could continue his tirade, Liam appeared, placing a protective hand lightly on Ophelia's waist. His presence was commanding, quiet authority radiating, and his gaze fixed on Victor with a mix of curiosity and control that shifted the tension instantly. "Victor, this is Liam," Ophelia said smoothly, her voice calm yet firm, politeness laced with steel. "Owner of this hotel, and my husband." She extended her hand with flawless composure. Victor froze. For a tense moment, he stared at her hand, the reality of the moment striking him like a jolt. Finally, he forced a handshake, stiff, the flush of embarrassment betraying him. "Husband? I see. You two really combined your interests," he stammered. Liam's voice cut through, calm, precise, and deliberately measured. "Yes. Ophelia has been incredible, both personally and professionally. What brings you here, Victor? Hotel business, or your own professional matters?" The subtle jab landed, polite yet pointed. Victor straightened his tie, shoulders stiff with effort. I'm here to discuss business opportunities. Your investments caught my attention. Maybe we could collaborate. Ophelia interjected, soft yet razor-sharp. Interesting you say that, Victor, considering how you always underestimated me. Looks like the world does turn after all. The lobby seemed to hold its breath. Victor couldn't respond. This wasn't the vulnerable wife he had once dismissed. This was a woman transformed, confident, untouchable, and backed by someone who reinforced her strength. Liam offered a faint, polite smile. Well, Victor, I'd love to continue this conversation another time, but Ophelia and I have commitments. Enjoy your stay. They walked away, their movements perfectly synchronized, leaving Victor standing in the gleaming marble lobby, shrinking under the gaze of indifferent onlookers. This encounter wasn't casual. It was a silent, undeniable statement of his loss. Later, Victor found himself in the hotel boardroom, tensely seated in a black leather chair at a massive oak table. The polished surface reflected the overhead lights, making the room feel oppressive. Sweat betrayed his anxiety, though he forced himself to sit with the air of control he no longer possessed. Liam entered, followed by Ophelia, whose elegance seemed effortless. Every step she took radiated calm authority. Victor's gaze wavered, confronted by the radiant woman he had once discarded. "Victor, good to see you," Liam said, firm yet cordial, cutting through Victor's pretense. "I hope you're comfortable." Victor forced a tight-lipped smile. "Thank you, Liam." "Ophelia, always a surprise. You look well." Ophelia returned a serene, composed smile. No warmth, only quiet strength. "Thank you, Victor. Life has been kind to me. You, seem to be struggling." Liam set a leather folder on the table with quiet authority. "Let's get straight to business. You're here about your company, correct? I reviewed your financial report. It doesn't look promising." Victor's throat tightened. "Yes, we've had setbacks. But with the right partnership and your investment, we can turn this into growth for both of us." Liam leaned back, arms crossed, calm and unshakable. "Interesting, but how do you imagine this working given our past?" Sweat traced the back of Victor's neck. He opened his mouth, but Ophelia's voice cut through the tension, firm and commanding. "Liam, perhaps he doesn't yet understand the situation," she said evenly. "Victor, let me be clear. You're asking for help from the man beside me, the same man who witnessed you treat me like a disposable employee. And now you're desperate because your company is on the brink of collapse. Ironic, isn't it?" Victor tried to laugh, but it sounded hollow. "Ophelia, this is just business. Nothing personal." "Nothing personal?" Ophelia leaned forward slightly, eyes locking onto his. "You ruined our life together. You treated me like an object. And now, years later, you expect to walk in, humiliate me, and the person by my side, and have people save you? Maybe it's time you understand the world doesn't revolve around you." Silence fell. Victor swallowed, exposed like never before. Liam's voice was calm but firm. "Victor, business requires trust and respect. Here, you have neither." Ophelia built something extraordinary through effort, courage, and resilience. "She proves we don't need people like you to succeed." Victor's composure cracked. "Liam, please. I need this. My company is on the edge. Without your investment, everything I've built will be lost." Ophelia rose, unshaken, her presence commanding the room. "And you think that didn't happen to me? When you left, I lost everything. I rebuilt my life from scratch. And I learned something: you don't need people who destroy you to move forward. Liam taught me that, whether you wanted to or not." Liam rose as well, signaling the end of the meeting. "Victor, I wish you luck, but our path ends here. Ophelia and I work with people who share our values. You're exactly the type we avoid, someone willing to step over others for personal gain." Victor remained seated, staring at the folder, the stark evidence of his company's imminent collapse. Slowly he rose, weighed down by humiliation, and glanced at Ophelia and Liam, strong and united. He had lost not just a business, but everything that truly mattered. Days later, Victor sat in a quiet old-town Alexandria cafe, head bowed, shoulders slumped. His coffee sat untouched, cold and bitter, while life bustled around him, a cruel reminder of everything he had lost. Every face he passed reflected a world that had moved on without him. The cafe door swung open. Victor looked up instinctively. Ophelia paused, her stride calm, her gaze assessing. Then, without hurry, she approached. "Ophelia," he said, standing too quickly, nearly tipping his chair. His voice shook. "Do you have a minute?" She stopped in front of him, tall, composed, every inch the woman he had underestimated. After a pause, she nodded. "I do." "What is it?" He gestured toward the chair, but she remained standing, signaling this was no casual conversation. Victor inhaled deeply. "I want to apologize, not just for the hotel, but for everything. How I treated you. I was wrong. I lost everything. And Madeline left me months after our marriage ended. I didn't have the courage to come to you. Pride, shame, I don't know. I just..." Ophelia crossed her arms, expression unyielding. "Yes, Victor. You lost everything. I'm sorry your relationship didn't work out. But maybe your biggest mistake was who you chose to be, a man who thought he could step on others to get ahead. I see that now," he admitted, voice cracking. "I thought success, money, power, that's all that mattered. But along the way, I lost the only things of real value, you, and my own self-respect." Ophelia exhaled softly, releasing years of tension. "You hurt me." I cried. I felt broken. But in the end, you did something no one else could. You freed me. I learned to be who I really am, not because of you, but despite you. Victor lowered his eyes, every word slicing deeper. He wanted a chance to fix things, to undo the past. Ophelia stepped forward, firm yet composed. "Some things can't be fixed, Victor. Not because I hold a grudge, but because I'm no longer the person you knew. The Ophelia you left behind needed your approval. Today's Ophelia doesn't need anything from you." Silence fell, heavy and final. Victor felt the ground shift beneath him. He wanted to plead, to argue, but it was useless. Finally, he simply nodded, acknowledging defeat. Ophelia turned and walked away, heels clicking softly against the cafe floor. Before disappearing into the street, she glanced over her shoulder. "I hope you find peace, Victor. Living with regret is a weight no one should carry, but that journey is yours alone." He remained seated, staring at the cold coffee, a mirror of a life once vibrant, now hollow. That night, Ophelia and Liam moved through the grand ballroom of a waterfront hotel, the air alive with chatter, laughter, and the soft clinking of glasses. They celebrated the success of a charity event, a project reflecting their shared passion. Ophelia's laughter rang pure and unrestrained, captivating everyone around her. Liam watched from behind, pride and quiet love in his eyes. Every glance, every gesture, made it clear they were partners in life and dreams, bound by trust, respect, and genuine affection. Meanwhile, Victor returned to his hotel suite, the vast space echoing with silence. Alexandria's city lights glimmered through the floor-to-ceiling windows, but offered no comfort. No grandeur, no opportunity awaited him, only the consequences of choices that left him utterly alone. The emptiness pressed against him like a physical weight. For the first time, he felt the stark reality of his isolation. Later, wandering slowly through the hotel lobby, hands shoved into the pockets of his rumpled suit, he no longer commanded the space with the ease and arrogance that had once defined him. Crystal chandeliers, once symbols of power, now mocked him, reflecting a man diminished, stripped of influence. Across the lobby, he glimpsed Ophelia and Liam by a panoramic window. The golden sunset framed her in a halo of light, joy radiating from her. Liam leaned close, whispering something that coaxed a delighted laugh from her. For a fleeting, futile moment, Victor imagined stepping forward, apologizing, explaining, reclaiming even a sliver of her light, but the intertwining of their hands told him everything. There was no place for him here. The bridges he had burned could never be rebuilt. Ophelia's gaze flicked toward him. Their eyes met. Victor froze, bracing for anger, pity, or disdain. But all he found was calm, unshakable indifference. No hatred, no bitterness, only undeniable proof she had moved on completely. As he turned to leave, Victor paused at a polished mirror. The reflection staring back was a stranger, a man hollowed by arrogance, mistakes, and regret. "What have I done with my life?" he whispered. Inside the restaurant, Ophelia gave a final glance toward the space Victor had disappeared into. Liam noticed and reached for her hand. "Are you okay?" he asked softly, concern and affection in his tone. She smiled, a serene, luminous smile, born of hard-won peace. "Yes, for the first time, I really am." Liam squeezed her hand, a silent acknowledgement of her journey and triumph. "You deserve all of this, Ophelia. Every laugh, every victory, and someone who truly values you." Her eyes glimmered with gratitude, born of reclaiming a life once nearly lost. "Now I have it all, everything I thought I'd never get back." In the contrast between Ophelia's joy and Victor's isolation, the truth was clear. True triumph isn't measured by wealth or power, but by the courage to rebuild, to love authentically, and to find peace within oneself. It was a lesson Victor would carry for the rest of his life, if he could bear to remember it at all. You just heard this one from Stories by Sue. If it resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comments, I'd love to hear. Thanks for watching.